Good evening. Tonight, Ed, N1EK, will talk to us about Radiosport, a competitive amateur radio activity. Ed is the author of Get Started with Radiosport, which was published in the On the Air magazine in its September-October 2024 edition. Ed was bitten by the amateur radio bug in elementary school and first licensed as a novice in 1967. His interests include DXing and contesting, for which he has earned several ARRL operating awards. So thanks, Ed, for joining us tonight. And now it's over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. I'll begin the share here. Guess it's this one. Okay. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to your club meeting tonight. I just remembering history. I was at CaraFest last fall, representing Potomac Valley Radio Club, and Alex and Paul were right behind me, and so we started chatting about it, and at that time we were some of the people in PVRC were talking about reaching out to let other people know about the fun of radio sport and contesting, and so I really appreciate your inviting us here, by inviting me tonight. This is kind of an ad hoc outreach from Potomac Valley Radio Club. But just to let you know what contesting is, and try to see if you'd be interested in this. And I see at least one of your members there, Howard, is I know from PVRC. So good evening, Howard. Um, so Radio sport. So this is a big topic. ARRL defines it pretty broadly, but as you can see from the name, sport, it talks about, doing something fun with your amateur radio license. So you have a lot of privileges. You've worked hard and you've passed these tests, and now it's time to continue to expand in your use of your radio privileges and see some other things that you might be involved in. And radio sport, let's see if I can advance the slide. Okay, there we go. So what's radio sport? Well, you've probably already done a lot of radio sport. ARRL defines it pretty broadly. Using your radio to try to work all states, for example, or 100 countries. That's called DXCC. Or many of you have probably done POTA, Parks on the Air. Or I know many of you have already, from what you've already been talking about, you've done Field Day, maybe the Maryland QSO party in August, Winter Field Day, the 13 Colonies events, sweepstakes. So many of you have probably already done some of these things before. So basically, it's getting on the air and making contacts with fellow amateur radio operators in an organized event. So you can think of it as an operating event. Use your ham privileges, make contacts with the stations, log them, and then do something with those logged contacts. You usually keep count, who you contacted, how many you contacted, what locations you contacted. And, you can use this information. Many of us have chased awards before, like the ARRL Worked All States, DXCC. There's another thing they have called DX Challenge, or maybe 5 bands, work 100 countries on 5 bands, 5-band DXCC. So, these really can be considered all part of radio sport. Parks on the air, summits on the air, islands on the air, and then there's contests. And we're going to talk mostly about contests tonight. So what is a contest? A contest is you get on, there's a particular period of time, you make contacts with fellow hams, keep count, challenge yourself to make more contacts, and really the main thing is just get involved in the event. So like you do for field day, get involved in the event, have fun making contacts, and really use your amateur radio privileges. So what's contesting? It's an organized operating event, lots of stations on the air. This is a great advantage of a contest. You go on, you might want to have a rag chew on an HF band, and have to search around for somebody calling CQ, or you call CQ. It's kind of sparse sometimes. During a contest, there's a lot of people on the air, and you can make a lot of contacts in a very short period of time. They're all there for the same purpose, contacting other stations. There's usually a time period. It starts at a certain time, it ends at a certain time, and lasts for a certain number of hours. You work it as long as you want. There's no required time. If you want to get on for half an hour and work some stations, if you want to get on for 24 hours and work stations, it's all your decision. And the great thing is, it's everybody's on there, all ages, all genders, jobs, income, everybody's thrown into the mix together. And then you can post your results online. So there's online results that can be posted during the contest or after the contest. You can see how what you did stacks up to other stations. So why would you want to participate in contests? Well, they're fun. They really are. Um, it's the exhilaration. It's the kind of your adrenaline kicks in. You kind of have fun chasing other contacts and making those contacts and seeing how fast you can make them, where you can make the contacts to, how well your station does to contact other stations in the contest. You'd be part of the action. It's a real-time event. It's kind of like, we all probably play some kind of competitive things, like maybe challenge ourselves with crosswords, or get the family together, or after dinner around the table and play a game of some kind. But it's a real-time event where you can participate with other people. You make lots of contacts. There's camaraderie that's generated. See how many locations or other stations you can contact. Use your radio skills and your station. So you've probably invested in equipment. Now it's another way to use your station and expand those skills for that can be translated into other areas like emergency work or public service or so on like that. You can make contacts for awards. You're making, 50, 100, 1,000 contacts in a contest, and many of those might be new contacts you can use toward awards you're interested in, like working counties, working all states, working other countries like DXCC. And you can certainly see how your results stack up to other people's results. Your friends in the club, your friends in the area that you might know, and other people that you might know from on air. So, one great thing about contests is there's a great diversity of types of contests, any modes. Just about every mode has a contest, except maybe FM. But single sideband, CW, radio teletype, RT RTTY, FT8, FT4, there's contests for that, and PSK 31. Contests for all these types of modes. Whatever your favorite mode are, there's contests for those. A diversity of frequencies, from high frequencies from the 160-meter band through the 10-meter band. VHF contests, VHF contests, multiple band contests. So there's a lot of contests where you're free to work all the bands, say from 160 up to 10 meters. Then there's single band contests like the 160-meter contest, the 10-meter contest, and so on. Within a contest, you can work with different power levels. So you might choose to work QRP, less than 5 watts, or less than 100 watts, or 1,500 watts for high power. But there's categories in each contest. There's categories for each of these areas. And you can see how your performance or your activity stacks up to others. There's time periods. You can work anytime you want. Some contests last as short as 30 minutes. Some last 48 hours. You have to be a real stalwart to be able to last that long. Different contests incorporate different geographic areas. Like a state, for example, there's the Maryland QSO party. You might contact other people from in the state, and people from outside the state are contacting people in Maryland or North America. So this is all the states and all the provinces in Canada. or international DX contests. Every contest. There was one just a week and a half ago called the ARL DX contest, and we were working people all over the world, literally all over the world, in that contest. And there's different intensity levels. If you're a lower intensity person, you might want to start with a state QSO party. These tend to be more mom and pop affairs. You might stop after you make a contact and say, "Hey, what part of the state do you live in?" Or something like, "Hey, Joe, I remember you." Okay, or something like that. It's fun. It's funny sometimes how people break into side conversations. Um, but the next level up might be sweepstakes. I'm sure some of you have worked sweepstakes. That's where you contact other people in other states as well as the provinces in Canada. And there's obviously DX contests, and those tend to be pretty high intensity. People working a lot of people as fast as they can. Um, so, what do you need to get started? Well, if you have a high frequency station right now, like an HF transceiver, 100-watt transceiver, a simple antenna, like a wire antenna, vertical antenna, an a stealth antenna, any type of things like that, an attic antenna. You can get started with contesting. You may not make as many contacts as somebody like Frank Donovan. Last year you had a presentation from Frank W3LPL. He has a huge station up in Glenmont. His group makes thousands of contacts in the contest. But sometimes if you just make 10 or 20 or 50, it's a lot of fun. Um, you need contest logging software, and you can get this for free. Download it from the internet. Or for example, if you're subscribed to N3 FPJ, FJP, he has contest logging software for each of the contests. Um, really specified for this contest. And this helps you with, it makes it easier to log your contacts from the contest, to check for duplicates. During the middle of this, sometimes you forget if you've worked somebody or not. So if you can use the software, enter a call sign, and if you've worked them before, it'll show you if you worked them. If not, it'll stay blue or whatever, and then you haven't worked them as a duplicate before. But it can get kind of frustrating if you work people over and over again, the same people. So you want to check for duplicates. And then every contest, you can submit your results to the organizing committee, and the software will help you prepare a Cabrillo file for the submission to the organizing body. So you also want to, before you get involved, you want to check the website for that contest, find out what time it starts, what frequency it's using, what is your exchange, and so on. So be familiar with it. Make sure your station's working well. So where can you learn about contests? Well, one good site is on the ARRL website. Scroll down and there's a thing called Contest Calendar. And if you click on that, you can pull up information about the upcoming contests. And down toward the bottom of that listing, there's things that make lists by months. And so you can click on that monthly list and so you can see all the contests that are scheduled in the month. And I'll show you an example of that later on. There's other ones like the NA7 BNM contest calendar. And then each contest has a website where you can learn more about the contest. Always read the information before the start if you're going to participate. So here's an example of the ARL monthly contest calendar for this month. And you can see at the beginning there, just looking at the first contest listed there, this is one that happened on the first weekend of the month. It's called the ARRL International DX Contest Single Sideband. So it was the single sideband mode. So the table here will give you the date, the universal time of the start and the finish, the bands that they're using for that contest. And then they have something called the exchange, and that's what you pass along to the other station. and they pass their information along to you. So in this case, it was the signal report, or RS, and then the S&P, that's state or province, or if they're a DX station, the power that they were using, like kilowatt or 500 watts or something like that. And then this will show you the last column is sponsor's website, and you click on that, it'll take you to the website of that particular contest. So that's a very easy way to see what's coming up. Now, I would also say about this list is I'm guessing about 80% of these ones that are listed are not um, heavily and not very active contests. It might be more specialized, might be a certain area of the world or whatever. So you may want to look to see which ones are the most actively um, operated contest. You might be frustrated if you go on for one of these and it's really not actively operated. Here's another example. This is then if you click on that URL for the DX contest, here's an example of the web page that comes up, and there's a lot more information than shown here, but it shows you something about what the contest is, who works who, when it is, and so on. So that's from the ARL, and then there's another contest here, for example. This is the CQ Worldwide WPX contest. This is one that's coming up in a week and a half that I'm looking forward to. And what CQ is, of course, CQ magazine. It's not around anymore, but people are still maintaining these contests. WW stands for worldwide. WPX is the prefix. It stands for the prefix. So in my case, I'm N1EK, so my prefix is N1. And that becomes instead of a state or a country, that becomes what we call the multiplier. So N1, and then if you work, say, Alex, it's W3, or Paul, N3. So those are all different multipliers. But here is just an example, the website you'd pull up, I'm sorry, the website you'd pull up for this upcoming contest. And if you want to get started, this might be one that you might want to try out in a week and a half. So go to this website, read all about it, and then get yourself set up. And this is all, the one that's coming up is all a single sideband contest. That's March 29th and 30th of this month. So here's some examples. There's many types of contests. Field day, you could consider that a contest, but it's a low-key contest. It also has many other purposes. It helps to unite the clubs like your own. It helps to prepare people with skills that can be used in emergency situations and so on. And it's not really scored as a regular contest, but it is in the contest format. You contact other stations, you transfer an exchange, and then you move on to another station. So if you've worked field day, and I'm sure most of you have, it's the same type of thing. You also have state QSO parties. So in August, we have Maryland State QSO party coming up, and people from outside of Maryland are always looking for people in Maryland to contact. There's not enough Maryland stations on the air. This one is sponsored by one of your sister clubs, the Anne Arundel County Club, and they're the ones that do all the hard work to put this on the air. So think about the Maryland State QSO party in August. You also have Novice Roundup. That's one for newer contesters. You can look that up. There's 6 of these called North American QSO Party. They're 12-hour events. They're in modes of either CW, single sideband, or radio teletype. There's 2 of each of those during the year, and these are excellent contests for newer contesters. There's sweepstakes, of course. Probably many of you have worked sweepstakes. There's a fun thing about a sweepstakes where you try to work all the states and all the provinces, and it's called a clean sweep. And it's kind of a special thing that you can feel good about. And I'll tell you, for my case, this last fall was the first time I ever had a clean sweep and worked all the states and all the provinces. And I was quite pleased about that. So it's a little side aspect of the sweepstakes. There's digital contests, FT8 and FT4 contests. There's one coming up in June, the ARL digital contest. And there's about 3 or 4 major ones of these throughout the year. If you're If you're interested in FT8 and FT4, it's a great place. The format is exactly the same as you would do operate daily FT8 and FT4 modes. And except now you're basically logging all your contacts within a certain period of time. ARLDX contest, we just had that, for example. There's VHF contests, 6 meters and up, and there's a lot of digital FTA contest work done on 6 meters during those VHF contests. And then there's a slow speed and other speed CW contests. So if you're interested in CW, that's another one to get involved in. So how do each one of us fit in? Each contest has many categories. There's something for everybody. For example, in a typical contest, you'll have a low power category. You'll have a high power category. There you'll have a QRP category. You'll have a limited antennas category, a single operator category, multiple operator category. Assisted and unassisted means you get help from spotting. It's called spotting. We can get into that if you have questions about that. But you can find out who's on what frequency and click on them and work them. And that's called assisted. Um, Contests are good for skill development. For example, some people use them to help develop skills in CW. There's a number of different contests at different speeds that you could try and help develop your CW skills. So it's a good way to just practice your skills. And there are groups that will help you develop your CW skills, like the so-called CW Ops group is an excellent group for free, friendly help in developing your CW skills. Now, contest logging software is free. This here's an example. N1MM Logger is by far the most commonly used. It's free to download. It's quite complex in all its capabilities, but you can get started with just some introductory information and start using it right away. If you're familiar with logging software programs, and almost everybody is. If you're subscribed to N3FJP, Scott has separate logging software for each program, each contest. And there's another one called WriteLog, which is also popular, especially among CW or radio teletype operators. So here's some of the things the logging software will do for you. They have these different windows, lots and lots of windows you can pull up. For example, the one in the lower left-hand corner here, when you hear somebody you want to contact or call, you would type in the call sign there, and this is 4U1HQ, which it's a DX call. It's the headquarters station of the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland. If you make and you type that in there, if it's a duplicate, it'll show you. If it's not, it'll stay blue. And then this is the exchange. So you send them a 5.9, that's the signal report. You receive a 5.9 back, and you get the power level that the other station is using. It's kilowatt of power. So once that's in, you hit the return, and it logs it. It goes into this big log. The log will tell you all the stations you've worked. So you can scroll up and down in there and look at all the stations you worked. There's other windows that can pop up. You can see the different countries you've worked here, like 4X is at the top of the screen there is Israel, 4X. That one was worked in this contest on 10 meters. The next one down, 5B, that was worked on 4 bands, and so on in this contest. The bottom one keeps track of all your score. So this is the first column is the different bands. 3.5 is 80 megahertz up through 10 megahertz. Shows you how many different QSOs you've made on that band. The next one is how many points were assigned to those. The next one's CTY, that's countries that you worked on each band. And then down at the bottom is a total score. 1,121,466, which is just a score. It has no meaning in particular, but it just kind of gives you a score of how you did. So this is from the ARLDX contest in 2024 in a period of time of 20 hours. 1,200 stations were worked. 1,200 different stations or contacts were made. And in a total of, well, you can see here, like on the 10-meter band, there were 90 countries that were worked. And a total, when you add them all up for all the bands, is 311. So you multiply those numbers together, you get 1.1 million for the score. So these are some of the things that logging software will do for you. During the contest, you can have some fun with actually watching your score online. So you can click a little box in N1MM. It'll send your score over in real time to this scoreboard called the Contest Online Scoreboard. And you can see how your results are stacking up compared to other people in your same category. It's kind of fun. Then afterwards, you can post, people often post their scores to this thing called 3830. It's unofficial, it's informal, but you can post there immediately and show and basically share with other people how you did, leave your comments, and then see what other people are saying about the contest. But ultimately, afterwards, you want to post your results to the organizer and send your log in to the organizers as a Cabrillo log. So here's just some hints to get started. Beforehand, read the contest information and rules. Make sure your equipment and software is working. There's nothing more frustrating than starting off and having a failure on your software or equipment. It's happened to everybody that works contests, but you'd like to try to avoid that. So you can check it out in advance and make sure everything's working, and practice with your logging software to know so you know how to use it well. Um, if you're just starting contesting, listen to seasoned operators, just like you would on field day. Listen to other people operating and then try to emulate what they're doing. And the type of exchange and things you're saying, how you're doing it, try to emulate those other ones. In the contesting world, there's kind of two ways that people operate. One is sit and call CQ contest, and other stations call you, and then you make the contacts. That's often called running in the vernacular of contesting. So that's running. You keep running your QSOs. The other one is where you dial around and you try to hear somebody you haven't worked before, and then you answer them and call them back. And that's got the term search and pounce. So that's got another term in the vernacular. So keep your exchange short and snappy. This is not a rag chew. You're trying to work somebody and then move on and work somebody else. Let the person you just work somebody else too. And the main thing is be patient, have fun. I mean, have fun with the thing. Don't get frustrated. If you want to learn more, there's something online called Contest University. This is an event sponsored at Dayton Hamfest, a whole day of contesting seminars. And then afterwards, they publish the online, the seminar PowerPoint slides for free. So you can go right now, you can go to this Contest University website and read all these PowerPoint slides for like the last 10 years of their presentations. So it's a lot of interesting information there. What are some upcoming contests? So I just jotted this down right before to the meeting tonight, but there's one coming up, I said in a week and a half, called CQ WPX single sideband. That's at the end of March. There's an ARL digital, that's FT8 and FT4, which is in early June. There's a VHF contest in June. There's the North American QSO Party single sideband mode in August. And you can just see down the list here, digital contests. There's Maryland QSO Party in August, and so on. Sweepstakes in November, 10-meter contest in December. So there's lots of these things spread out. I personally work about 20 or 25 contests every year. Okay, so there's contest rewards for every participant. So down here in the lower corner, that's our friend W3LPL, Frank Donovan, has a superstation up in Glenmont. And if you've never seen it, it's worth a drive-by or go to the open house this summer and walk around and get the tour. It's an amazing place. And Frank is just one of the most sharing and giving hams out there. and very helpful to other hams. So what can you enjoy about a contest? Well, you can enjoy the participation with others in an event at the same time. You can challenge yourself. You can say, well, last year I worked 50, made 50 contacts. This year I'd like to make 100 contacts in this contest. Or I'd like to, in a DX contest, I'd like to work 30 countries. So you can get confirmed QSOs through, for your various operating awards, and obviously Logbook of the World is one of the best ways to get those confirmations. It can help you build skills, amateur radio skills, help you learn a lot about propagation. What bands are open to what places at what times around the world, around the country? What bands do you need to go? When do they shut down? When do they open up? And so on. You can learn a lot about the bands. Improve your performance. Compete against a friend. This is kind of fun. You find out, you kind of compare notes and have a friendly rivalry about seeing how your friends did, talking about the event that you both experienced together. You can identify useful station enhancements. This has been a great thing for me. I can find out, well, I can really identify things that I'd like to improve about my station. And then I can undertake those changes. Try a new mode, for example, CW digital. For me, I didn't have any experience with radio teletype before I got into contesting. And radio teletype is actually a very active area of contesting, but not very active in regular use. So, but it's a fun activity to participate in contesting. You can operate alone as a single station or as a multi-operator station with friends. And so that really adds to the camaraderie of the event. So how can you learn more about contesting? There's this article Alex mentioned before in On the Air magazine with ARL. If you're a member, you already have access to that. There was another article published in 23 by the ARL contest coordinator, Paul Bork, called Getting the Most Out of Your HF Contesting Operation. There's an ARL book shown in the bottom right-hand corner. It's a very well-written, easy to access book. It's low cost. You can get it from ARL or you can get it on Amazon as you choose. It has a lot of information. You don't have to know everything in there to get started in contesting, but it's helpful if you have a question. There's the PVRC website where you can find information, pvrc.com. Oh, it's not pvrc.com. It's pvrc.org, I believe. And then there's contesting.com, and there's the National Contest Journal, which is another journal of the ARL, which you have access for free if you're an ARL member. Comes out quarterly, I think. There's resources to help you if you're interested. The Potomac Valley Radio Club is an area you can see from the map down here, the area that it spans, but it's a dedicated contesting club. It does not overlap with Mark whatsoever. It is dedicated. It's a free club. You just go to the meetings. There's no dues. You go to the meetings. Most of the meetings are dinner meetings. You get together over dinner and chat over those dinner meetings. And there's, for example, in this area, there's one up in Frederick uh, at Chef Lynn's. It was just last night. And that's called the Northwest chapter. And then there's one that meets monthly in Silver Spring at El Hesh in Silver Spring. It's called the MD Metro. So you can go on the website if you're interested, check it out and see these chapters that are there. And so I'd like to say that at the end here, here's my email address, n1ek@arl.net. Please feel free to email me if you want, for example, a copy of these slides. I can send you a PDF. If you want help for getting started in contesting, please contact me and either I will help you or Howard will help you or or I'll get another colleague in PVRC and we can help you. So with that, I'll stop. Again, I want to thank you for your kindness in inviting me tonight and be happy to answer any questions you might have. Should I stop sharing now?
Yeah, I think that's great. Great. Wonderful presentation. Thank you. Lots of great information. This is going to be, we're going to upload this to our YouTube channel so we can share it with other people that are interested as well. So John, K3LO, has a question.
Yeah, hi, Ed. I
Hi.
got a question about logging. A lot of times in a contest, you'll hear a station that gives like a stroke and then a number or a county or something like K3LO stroke MON, K3LO stroke 4 or something. They're adding information on to let you know where they are, but they're not required for the contest. How do you log something like that?
That's a good question. So, thanks for that question. Well, you know what I do is I just log what they say, and I let the organizers straighten it out. So if they say N1EK/3, I just put that down, N1EK/3, and then the contest organizers will, when they check the logs, they'll straighten it out. They'll go through it and check it out. One of the things that often trips people up is in the DX contest, a station might say kilowatt, or they might say K, or they might say 1,000 or something like that. So the idea is just write down what they tell you, and that's the best policy. The contest organizers have been through this before. So does that answer your question? Okay, he's gone.
Hank, N3ESR, has a question.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation. I've learned something new, if you can believe it, having been in amateur radio for quite a while. My question is, I've read about, various things in QST, and I just briefly read them and haven't paid too much attention where they talk about Radiosport using, Fox, like a fox hunt.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Something that I guess it's competitive, the athletic, that you go out and try to be the first to find the fox, as it were. And I've heard the word radio sport associated with that.
Yeah, I have too. I have never done this, but just like fox hunting, my understanding, and again, I can say that I haven't ever done it, but my understanding is there are organized events that are competitive events where the fox hunting is done and there are prizes awarded for the people that get to the result the soonest. And so I don't know where to find information about that. Personally, might have to search the web for that. But it sounds to me like that's what you're talking about. A competitive event at a particular location or geographical area, or sometimes they even have them where you're at home and you're trying to locate, radio locate a station that might be somewhere on the East Coast or something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, I raised the question because I didn't see it in your outline of I guess, functions and
Yeah.
events that you presented, and so that now raised the question. So I'll do as you mentioned, go search this out a little bit further, even just go up on QST and go in there and take a look at see what they have to say, and then do a web search. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry, it's not something I've done before, but I'm sure you can find it. And I tried to start with the concept of radio sport as a way of, looking at the whole universe and then drilling down closer to contesting as part of that radio sport universe.
Okay. Will, K3XIT, has a question.
Yes, thank you, Alex, and thank you, Ed. That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
You mentioned W3LPL's open house, and I looked
Yes.
him up. He's about a half an hour from me. I looked at his antenna farm, but that is really impressive. I would like to see it. Is there information? Is he going to have one this spring or summer? And is there...
Every year, I can look it up, and maybe I can send that information to Alex. I don't know. Maybe does Howard? Howard, do you know?
Yeah, it's the Saturday between the VHF contest and field day. And it's a wonderful get together. It's just just a great day of camaraderie. Very interesting. I've attended the last 3 years since I've moved to Maryland. Last year was interesting because it was on Friday morning. I worked 7Q6M on 6 meters. And I've talked to him before on 6. And 7Q6M lives in Washington, D.C., but he's moved to Malawi to volunteer at a hospital to build a hospital there and a school. So I talked to him on 6 meters on Friday morning, knowing that he was in the States and he usually goes to Frank's open house. I thought I would bring a QSL card already written out to him for the contact yesterday, all the way over into South Africa. Sure enough, I pull into Frank's front lawn the same time as K6ZO, who's 7Q6M, pulled in. I said, I got a card for you. He said, I have a card for you too. So we took a picture of us exchanging cards from Maryland to Africa the day before, and having a nice eyeball. And I've met Don before because he's a regular there and regular at some club meetings. But on the subject of hidden transmitter hunting or fox hunting, I haven't done it in a few years. I did it a number of times when I lived in upstate New York and as well as up in Allentown. It's quite interesting. You typically runs on 2 meters because the antennas are small. You could use a directional loop with an attenuator on it onto an HT or something with an S meter. And, they send out a signal and you triangulate using a map and a compass, and then you drive closer, and then you drive to a side, then you triangulate, you look at the map where they cross, then you drive to that area. And then when you're right near the station, you kick in your attenuator, 10, 15, 20 dB, where you're really looking at hundreds of feet away. And sometimes they're very tricky. They're in a waterproof box, hung on a rope up in a tree. We had one time years ago that was actually buried underground with the wire coming out on 2 meters, sending out a beacon. And then usually go out for pizza afterwards. But it's what's interesting about hidden transmitter hunting. It's also called orienteering, and there's a world championship for it. It's in Europe. I think it's coming up in July, and they actually do it on foot. So they may think of a marathon run carrying a receiver with antennas and attenuators, and you may run 5 miles or 10 miles through wooded areas and so forth, looking for this transmitter. So in that case, it's actually a sport because it's actually a combination of an outdoor run and a transmitter hunt. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions?
But
All right. Well, thank you, Ed.
My pleasure.
very good, Ed. Thanks.
Great presentation.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our honor. Thank you. Okay, so anything else before we close for the evening? All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? A second? All right, Howard. Any objections to adjourning? And thank you again, Ed, for taking time to be with us. It was really fun tonight.
My pleasure,
Right.
my honor.
Thank you. All right, so because there are no objections, this is the end of the meeting. Meeting is adjourned. Good evening, 73s to all. Have a great week. We will see you all at the next meeting.